Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video, and just fair warning off the bat, this video will be talking about some pretty heavy topics. I don't mind if you want to bail and just not watch this one. If talking about death and suicide and things like that is going to be upsetting for you, totally understand it. Don't watch it. We'll be talking about something else in the next video. But there's lots of reasons to make this video today at the time of recording this. And I realize I probably have an audience now. I probably have people who follow my work. They don't really know a lot about me, don't really know a lot about my past or what I did in esports before, what I do now in esports, why I'm even here in esports to this day. And something happened the other day that just sort of made me think, you know what, fuck it. I should talk about that stuff and open up a bit more about who I am and some of the things that shaped me and made me who I am today, and why I've persevered in esports for so long, despite, I'm sure, at times looking like I don't really want to be here, and certainly saying as much on social media or interviews or whatever it might be. So this may or may not have happened to you, but I've obviously got Skype. Everyone in esports has Skype, and I've got people on there that, you know, their names pop up. It reminds you it's their birthday, and it happened the other day. And I hadn't thought about this for a while. This is my friend, good friend, Shayan Taleb, who, as I'm going to talk about now, was an esports legend, and someone that pretty much inspired me to kind of continue to work in the space. And you can see there he's talking about, you know, how he's at CompuPlay, which was a company that came in and bought an organization called Four Kings. Four Kings being one of the great organizations in UK esports history. And I was a manager over there, and me and Shayan worked together there. And you can see it says that he's just turned 30, which isn't true, because Shayan is dead. He's no longer with us. And he hasn't been with us for some time. He actually died when he was 22. And I was older than him, obviously, you know, by some way, 6-7 years. And we worked together as managers at Four Kings. He sort of handled the more business development side, and he had a very solid background in Counter-Strike. He came from 1.6, and he'd managed like the Finnish Astralis team that moved to Hurai, or whatever they were called, the German organization. He was an established name when I sort of blundered in as a journalist and was writing about Counter-Strike Source. He already had a good few years under his belt. You know, he'd been an active manager and contributor to esports, since he was, I don't know, like 18 or something. So anyway, I'll be honest, you kind of lose track of these things. And, I think about him quite a bit, but I hadn't thought about him for a while. I'd forgotten it was his birthday coming up. And, I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I've written articles that you probably can't find right now. They're on Esports Heaven, and it's got that weird formatting for all the old articles where the pictures are out and the text is all compressed, so they're not particularly good to look at. But anyway, we were, so like I say, we used to work together. We worked together at Four Kings, and our relationship was like awesome. I mean, he was one of the people who, when I met him, already established, and he was just bold as fuck. There are a few people I've met in my life that have sort of taught me the value of just being true to yourself, never backing down, always giving your opinions. And if people challenge you, just meet them head to head. Just, show them, fuck you. This is what I think. You will not intimidate me to say anything other than that. And he was very forthright. I mean, he lived in Sweden, but he was, of Persian descent, I believe. And when one thing that was very apparent to me was whenever he popped up and had an opinion, he used to get a lot of racial abuse hurled at him. People used to say, you shitty wizard-looking motherfucker, all the other racial epithets that you would aim at Arabic people. He never gave a fuck. I mean, he never let that faze him. Never complained. Just put up with it and just always gave as good as he got, right? And this was at a time in esports when it was kind of like the Wild West anyway. But, we didn't have social media. It was all done on forums. And basically after events or even at events, people would just say things about him. He wasn't entirely innocent. He was a fucking little terrier. And, when we met, he took that kind of stance with me. He was like, I think what he used to say shit like, well, your fucking accent, it's all over the place. Like, what is that? That can't be how Welsh people speak or whatever, And I quickly realized that this was a good guy. This was a guy I wanted to work with. This was a guy I wanted to align myself with, that his value system about trying to achieve something for the greater good within esports was the right way to go about it. That even if you took heat and flack for yourself, you made esports something great because he believed, like I did, that esports would succeed. And I wish he was around to sort of see this stuff now, because this would have blown his mind, So anyway, we ended up working together at Four Kings. Been bought up by this organization called CompuPlay. And we were looking to rebuild this fallen giant. They had legendary UK 1.6 players like Manja Capra was there before he went to Dignitas. And they were a big name that had fallen on hard financial times. They'd had managers like Ben Woodward there. That had gone to work in CGS and stuff, and they just needed a shot in the arm. Now, I'd already sort of been involved in management. I'd tried running my, own organization at some point. I'd done community management. I think I'd been at Infused for a while as well. It's hard to remember it all. I took a lot of jobs. But anyway, when Four Kings came knocking, it was like, wow, this is a fucking big name. This is a big deal. I would love to go and be a manager over there. But what really sealed the deal was the fact that finally I got to work with this boy, Shayan, who I've always got along with. And now this is it, we used to talk together all the time. And we were like, fuck, now we get to work together. So every day, we get up and we used to go through the routine. That fucking Skype account used to ping up online, and immediately it would be a voice call, And we'd sit on the phone and we'd just fucking talk all day, And there'd be these moments where we were busy, like I'd be typing an article, and he'd be doing a PDF file, deck proposal for a potential sponsor. We'd sit there in silence, It was like very few people I could ever do that with. And, just hours would go by, you just have your headset on, you don't talk. And then we'd be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm still on the call with Shayan. And anyway, we used to do this every day. It was like our work routine. We didn't have a physical office that we worked in, but we'd get up, log on, we'd talk about shit, goof off, play some games, poke some fun at each other all day, every day, because, even when I had a job, I was treating this like a full-time job, and then I had my journalism on top of that. I used to hustle hard, that's why all my fucking hair fell out, and I got a grey beard, and I probably look older than I am, So anyway, we were doing really, really well at Four Kings, and then, we'd brought in some, good players in Counter-Strike Source. We were turning things around. And then some sort of scandal started to break about the finances, about the money. And, you know, I couldn't be associated with any of that, right? Like, it was fucking bad news. Here was a journalist that wrote about fucking scandals and people not paying people. And there was people coming out the woodwork saying Four Kings owe me money. And there was a lot of problems. There was no money to fucking pay them was problem number one. Shayan was working himself into the fucking ground trying to fix that problem. And, you know, I said to him, I said, brother, like, I got to fucking bounce on this, man. Like, I got a reputation. If I'm ever associated with an organization that don't pay players, how the fuck can I ever write another article calling out an organization that don't pay players? And he's like, oh, no, we'll get this fucking fixed. Me and you, dog, we'll get this fixed. I was like, brother, you know, I can't. I just can't. I'm really fucking sorry. And I bailed. I left. I pulled the parachute on the organization. I said, I can't do it, mate. Can't fucking do that. Now, Shayan, who had been involved, he was younger than me by many years, but he was a lot more experienced in esports, and also just a fucking, like I say, just, you know, strength. He fucking stayed and toughed it out, and it didn't fix itself. In the end, Four Kings went under, but Shayan stayed there to the end and did his part and did his bit. And when it all went under, he fucking just came out of it and was like, right, well, next fucking project, boom, let's do it. That was probably a bit loud, sorry. And he went and created a new organization called Rage. Pronax played in it. And we were due to meet up in Denmark. He kept prick teasing me about how, I've got, you know, I don't know if I can travel, I'm too busy with sponsors, but are you going? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm going, I'm going to be covering it for Cadred. And he'd be like, I probably won't be there, but make sure you are, yeah. And I knew we were going to fucking meet up, you know. And I was super hyped about it because I wanted to fucking go out and, you know, just hang out with this dude, this legendary dude, you know, in close to his neck of the woods, where we were, you know, going to have a fucking great time. You know, known this guy years. This was like one of the first opportunities that we had to sort of like party or whatever, you know. And anyway, one day, and I can tell you the date. It must have been, it was October the 12th, 2010. He got up and he had a blog. And he used to write just stuff about esports and thoughts, philosophy. And he got up and he deleted all of his posts off it, and he changed just the title of the blog, and the only thing that was on it just said "Love Above All." Always stayed with me, that. And he went down to a local train station, and I mean, it's reported everywhere. It was a train accident. I guess because of the stigma. But he decided to throw himself in front of a train, and he died. And it was like this fucking, how do you process that? This guy. And there was like no fucking signs. I mean, it was totally out of the fucking blue. I mean, he just went. And it was fucking tough. It was a fucking heartbreaking thing to have happen. The guy had like so much good stuff going on in his life. He played football, I think for a team called Nybro IF. I think he'd had a fiance. He just had all of the esports tenure. He was like an esports celebrity at that time. In a lot of ways, he'd spent time at Roccat. And, yeah. So it was like, you know, it knocked me for six, because we talked every day, all the time, consistently. We'd work together. I mean, I thought I had a good handle on it, but like, I didn't know anything was wrong. And like, I'm an older guy, right? Like, he could have talked to me, asked me some advice, something. Never indicated anything was wrong at all. And we didn't know. You know, we just fuck it. There were no answers. I mean, as you saw there, people didn't even want to report what had happened, I suppose, out of respect or whatever. And yeah, so I tried, you know, to kind of process it, and I wrote an article. It was like, you know, because he was such a good friend, and I wanted it to be good. And yeah, there's some parts in it, like I won't read the whole thing. But if, you know, I'll link him in the description if you guys are interested, so you can learn a bit more about this dude, because he was one of the most important people for me in esports. You can go and check the pieces out. But it talks about, and I'm sure we can all, if you've ever lost anybody, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But it just says here, when you wake up in the morning, there's those few moments where the brain hasn't connected the past and the present together to create one continuous history. Memory comes back slowly, and the brain soaks up reality like a sponge. Those few moments were a relief, but they couldn't last forever. My friend was dead, and today was the first day I was going to have to deal with that. The awful knowledge I would never see him or hear him again weighing down on me. Shayan Taleb was someone who passionately cared about growing esports and making it something that we could all be proud of participating in. He was dedicated, driven, charismatic, and most of all, caring. The trouble with that combination meant that it wasn't always possible to keep everyone happy. His sensitivity and belief in what was righteous sometimes spilling over into outbursts I know he would almost instantly regret once he cooled down. Safe to say, we hit it off immediately. It'd be hard not to. Our personalities were almost identical. And, yeah. So, a couple of things about, you know, mentioning this now at this time, because it just popped up on fucking Skype. Is, first of all, you know, I want this guy to be remembered. There's a few of us who know who he was, and all the things he achieved. And after he passed away, and as I say in the article, and I wrote another one as well for the year anniversary of his passing, I hung in there. You know, I within esports for him, like, I wanted to do the stuff that I knew he wouldn't be able to. And trust me, you know, I'd had those dark times. I wanted out of the business because it's a very unforgiving business, and people can really treat you like you're not a human being because of the artifice of esports, isn't it? You know, right now, am I even real? I'm talking into a webcam. There's distance between us that's exaggerated by the digital nature of this interaction. It's the same with social media. It's the same with Reddit, Flame. We're not truly connected, even though we all know who each other are, and we all have the ability to reach out to each other in ways we never had before. Our connectivity should be at an all-time high, but very often it feels like we're not connected. And I'm as guilty of this as anybody else. Sometimes you lash out and you're like, fuck, I really shouldn't have said that. So I wanted to quit. I mean, that was my first instinct. I didn't want to ever have to write another esports obituary. I knew on a fucking long enough time scale I probably would. But then I kind of couldn't quit. I just couldn't, because, you know, how that's not how you repay your mates, is it? You know, he wasn't going to get to do all of this stuff that I've gone on to do. He wouldn't ever get to manage another esports team. He wouldn't ever get to win a trophy. He wouldn't ever get to be on a broadcast. He wouldn't ever see the emergence of Twitch and how streaming changed the game, and he would never be in an arena with 10,000 cheering fans. He wouldn't get to do that. But because he was so instrumental in developing me, making me who I was, making me see that there was a value in being a voice like his, I kind of felt compelled to continue, you know, because you when you care about people and they're no longer with you. I've lost a good few friends. I always get asked about the thumb ring that came off someone's body. You know, you carry them with you. They're not ghosts. They're not memories. It's something in between. And you try and do the things that they would want you to do. You try and be the things that they would want you to be. You try and realize. You try and go to the places that they can't, to show them the things that you hope they can see. And so I literally would not be in esports if it wasn't for Shayan, and I certainly wouldn't have persevered if I didn't want to preserve his legacy, right? But the other thing, is obviously the holidays are coming up. It's a tough time for a lot of people. And obviously mental health, any underlying issues, any feelings of loneliness or whatever can come out at times like this. And yeah, I've lost a good few friends to suicide, and trust me, it's tough. And the one thing you always wanted to do is reach out, talk to people, get a better idea. You replay stuff through your mind, and you think you might see telltale signs. Maybe there aren't there. Maybe it's inexplicable. Maybe it comes out of left field. Who knows? And the same thing goes for the people that you lose. You know, you wish they would have reached out and talked. So obviously, with it being a story kind of pertaining to that, just, you know, if you know somebody who you think might be having a tough time at Christmas, over the holidays, reach out. Trust me, it makes a fucking world of difference to people that are hurting. And if you are one of the people that are hurting, and you think people don't want to hear your problems, and you think people don't give a shit, do it. Just swallow that instinct and just reach out, because it's a lot better than the alternative. Anyway, you know, I said it was heavy. I apologize. So yeah, you know, there's not really much more to add. I guess I probably didn't articulate this very well. It's tough to talk about. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I don't do feelings and that stuff. But, you know, this is my friend Shayan. This is the Shayan I remember. And the Shayan I wish was still with us. So, yeah. In peace, brother. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.